Okay, so now we are going to talk about the sheet or using the sheet when you start to scale. Now, obviously the whole idea of this sheet is to help you scale in your business, and we want you to use this sheet to get the most out of it. And as a result of that, the sheet's going to get bigger. So the question might come at one point is, what do you do when the sheet probably gets quite big and maybe you've run out of sales or you're running out of rows on the buy sheet? How do you improve it? What I'm going to do now is go through how to improve the size of the buy sheet, and then also as well, we'll go through top tips for maybe if the sheet's slowing down because you've got too much data on there that's going to make a real big difference. So let's have a look now. Okay, so we're now on the buy sheet. Now, the one thing which I'll just say is the only real sheet you're going to need to change on this is the buy sheet itself. Once you've got so much data in the buy sheet that you've run out of rows, there's just going to be a couple of cells that you need to drag down and add additionals to. Really simple, but all the other formula in the sheet is designed to work on the entire length of the column, regardless of how long it is. They are designed to work for the whole length. If you add an extra 100,000 rows, it's going to do that. So just be mindful of the fact that those formulas in the back of house of the sheet will automatically update. Now, the other thing which I'll just probably add is if maybe your sheet is getting a bit slow, a couple of things to just think about. If you are importing more than 30 days worth of data, or you have insane amount of sales, that is going to be a lot of data to recalculate. So just be super mindful of the fact that keeping it to 30 days is going to be about optimal. If you start importing 60, 90, 180, that's really going to start slowing down because it's now going to do all the calculations on all that data. Also as well, the same with the restock report, but the restock report is pretty static by what Amazon generates. So top tip, keep your sales reports down to 30 days. That's going to help speed up the sheet and keep it running efficiently in your business. So now let's have a quick look at what you want to do when you want to enlarge the buy sheet. So here we are on the buy sheet. Now, right now, I've only got a couple of rows, but let's just pretend I had a lot. I had like 3,000. How do you make this sheet grow? How do you make it better? Well, quite simply, anything in gray, you just want to highlight and drag down. If you see this error or this heads up warning, just click don't show for 5 minutes and then click OK. Generally speaking, you shouldn't be touching the gray cells, but we've dragged them down for you automatically to about 3,000 lines. But for you, you might want to come in, add more lines because they're at the bottom, and then obviously drag down those grey cells, which is going to bring the formulas down and continue to update those products. So not only you want to do it for this section, you want to also come across here and do it for the custom SKU. That is going to be something, and then also the delivery variants. So those cells are the 3 cells that you want to take, drag them down so that they now filter through and collect the information from your new cells that you've just added. So that's a little bit about that. Now, the one thing which I might say, you might get to a point whereby you've added so many new cells, you've got so much new information on here that you've done this process of adding new cells and dragging down multiple times. The sheet should be able to design for you for at least a year, couple of years, depending on your volumes. But the one thing which you might want to think about is if you are getting to that point where the sheet's becoming really slow and unresponsive because there is just too much data, then hey, first things first, well done for you for like scaling your business that big. But second things, what you might want to do is you might want to actually back up the buy sheet. You might want to take this buy sheet and copy it to another completely new sheet, not within this Google Doc you've got, but another Google document. And then what I'd probably recommend doing is taking maybe the first half of the data, probably about half, and actually deleting that out. You've got the backup of it, you've got that information if you need it, but that first half of the data is just sat there. Yes, we look at reports on it, but most of the reports we generate in this are quite recent. The only one it's going to affect is all-time top stores. But to be honest, that's all time. And if you've been doing this for a couple of years, that might be out of date by now. But what you might be looking at is saying, I've got that data on another Google Doc somewhere else, but right now I just want my sheet to be a viable sheet that's going to work now. So one thing to think about is if, say for example, we've added in new products, what I would do is I would basically go copy to new spreadsheet, and I would add that to a new spreadsheet. So I keep a backup. And then what I'd do is I'd take the top half and I'd quite simply come along and just delete out those rows. What that's going to do, obviously it's going to clear out a lot of the data, and it just means that the sheet's going to process a lot faster because most of the calculations, most of the updates on the sheet are done on your computer, which means that's why it's running slow. It's not done in the cloud. So deleting out that old data, the top half, is going to speed up those calculations, make it run a lot smoother. But that is a little bit about growing big, and hey, well done for you for scaling so high.